Okay, thank you for meeting with me.
Sure, of course.
All right, so let's recap very quickly what we talked about last time. So last time we met, we talked about the current reality of the classroom, how much technology you were using with your students, and specifically, we talked about what technology use looked like for a student-led goal, and we were able to establish that student-led goal, which for your particular class and the activity that you were working on, Casey, at the BAT, the poetry unit that you were doing, was to incorporate uh, technology to promote communication and collaboration among the kids, specifically through Word document, where they were able to kind of share that document and work together
Yep.
for a common goal. And we also came up with a strategy on how we would monitor that. And that strategy was through a checklist. Can you talk to us a little bit about just how that's going, your
Sure.
experiences so far?
Yes, yes. So the kids had a checklist as they worked on the Word document. And the checklist was just a short, like a fourth of a paper. So it was something that was small right by their computer. What they had to complete was to enter information in each box. Like that was a big thing. They had to include their initial by their information. So we knew exactly. They had to have correct capitalization and punctuation because didn't want them to get lazy like they were texting, and wanted insightful answers with evidence. So this is the part that was probably the most demanding of the checklist, because the other ones, they're like, oh yeah, I answered in a box. Oh, I can put my initials. Oh, I can do that. But they had to go back to the poem to be able to answer that question, and they had to include their information. And I also had to make sure that the kids knew not to just copy what somebody else had read. Even if you're reading what other people have said, and you're like, oh, that's what I was going to say, well, then you need to put it in different words. It doesn't need to be said the exact same way. Um,
Okay, fabulous. So student progress towards that goal. You just told us what the checklist included. Can you talk to us a little bit about the data, what you were able to gather in terms of how many students, or not how many students, let's say like the percentage of students that were able to complete that in the way that you would have liked, and maybe the students who did not complete it the way that you would have liked?
So let's say, for example, for one class, I have 30 students in my first class, and about 70% of them did the checklist. They completed all the boxes. They felt proud of what they did. I checked that. I agreed with them. So the other 30%, I needed to have conversations with those students and say, okay, either they didn't complete the checklist, it wasn't meaningful to them, they didn't care, or they did complete the checklist and then I did my double check and they hadn't done what they had checked off. So I had to have conversations with some of those students to let them know, okay, yes, you put your initials, yes, you put something in that box, but you didn't refer to the poem at all. So how do I know? So having those one-on-one conversations with those students to be more specific to their problems rather than the whole class.
Yeah, and I think conferencing is a really great way to, exactly as you said, do that one-on-one with students so that they know the expectation based off on their particular, I guess, needs, we could say. Okay, very nice. So let's talk about options for students then who did not, apart from the conferencing, which is fantastic, and I love that idea, and I think it's very effective. What what other options did we have for those kids to be able to actually complete? Because sometimes, like for example, some kids don't have technology at home and things like that. So like what are some of the things that you were able to do to kind of target those kids?
A great question, because there's a lot of times those are the ones that need extra time too. So meanwhile, while everyone else is ready to move forward, what do you do with these kids that haven't completed it as they were supposed to do? So we have a couple of options at our school where we can help the students. We have ELT time, which is extended learning time,
Okay.
which is about 30 minutes in the morning, kind of like a homeroom time, but We rotate different class periods. And even if a child doesn't have math work, then I communicate with that teacher and be like, hey, do you mind if I borrow this student and let me go over this, what they need to work on? So that's been helpful. We also have a lunch and learn time where I'm able to work with the students. Not every day, but sometimes it's available. And then I do make myself available in the mornings if a student can get a ride. They always can't, but yeah, before school. Mhm.
Very nice of you. Because our hours are already very long. That's very nice. Okay, good. I also wanted, I don't know if you know this option, but I'm just going to throw it out there. You probably already know. The school does not advertise it much, but they will allow students to like, they kind of have like a check-in, check-out system for laptops. And like I said, they don't really advertise it, and I didn't learn this until very late.
Yeah.
But sometimes for students who do not have the technology at home, they will
Okay.
allow it based off of like their, I guess like just different scenarios and things like that. So
That's
that
good
was
to know.
also, yeah, I know I didn't know that until very late. But I think given that you're providing time before school and you're doing it during lunch, which everybody can do during lunchtime, and then also the extended learning time, which is perfectly like built into our schedule. I think that's amazing. Okay, fabulous. So then moving forward, so we'll continue to monitor using the checklist. And is there anything else, like anything that you would like to share other than?
No, I'm hoping that the next time we meet that I have 100%, so that all of the students have, completed the checklist and I've been able to double check it and make sure that it's been completed. I feel like maybe this has taken a little bit longer than other assignments have, but I'm hoping that the kids are building valuable skills, not only with the technology, but with the collaboration and just lifelong skills that they're going to have to continue to use for the rest of their life and any kind of job.
Fabulous. I love that. Very nice. Okay, very cool. All right. Thank you for your time.
Of course.
Okay.